Hi everyone, I'm Vandy. Welcome to the Inside Out show, where we discover that the secret of being effortlessly attractive isn't a skincare routine or blindly following trends. It's getting so clear on who you are that you stop apologizing for being interested in what interests you, and that makes you authentically appealing. In today's episode, I had an incredible conversation with DIVYANG, who is an athlete, tennis player, and he is pioneering paddle and pickleball in India. I have to say, this might be one of my favorite conversations we've recorded. We really dove deep into self image, fitness, and what makes Divyang tick as a person. There were some surprising moments that I think will really resonate with you. I genuinely enjoyed every minute of our chat, and I'm excited for you to hear it. So let's jump right in. This is the Inside Out Show.
Welcome. Welcome to the Inside Out
Welcome to the
show.
Inside Out show. So this is fun, and I really like the way you've done it as well. It's amazing. The invite was amazing. Thank you so much for, and you with your blonde hair, iconic, forever iconic. You, your statue will have blonde hair. It's like it's yes.
Statue, I don't know. I have blonde hair.
Amazing.
That's my signature move.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's iconic. It's Vandy. It's like
I can see you're feeling your new work and your new profile. Like really, you're really gone into it.
yeah, it is. I mean, there's so much potential here. As we were discussing, sports is really evolving now in India. So there's so much potential to make it big, actually, especially in paddle and pickle because they're new, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I'm mostly a community builder. Imagine for some guy who never could have been even bothered to say hi to anyone, and now I'm a community builder. Imagine the level. So
Oh
that's
my God.
so
Stellar.
yeah, so it's crazy. So yeah, I build the paddle and part of the Bangalore community as well for paddle. So I'm trying to be involved with both Kerala as well as Bangalore.
Yeah.
So I'll be making frequent trips here from now on. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's stellar, man. That's so cool.
I mean,
Like, when did you really, stop feeling like you? And, what kind of brought you back or could bring you back? Because,
right.
there was a position, I think in your life, you had done some Formula One stuff, and then you were in question about because you are such a enthusiast with tennis. So yeah, I think that's the crossroads I met you at. Last, I was in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, flashbacks. Anyways, but to answer the first part of the question, right? Basically, when did I start or stop feeling like myself? Honestly, for the longest time, I didn't even know what feeling like myself was like because, since I was a kid, for me, I always try to impress, right? I always try to do the right things. Listening to my parents, following what was expected of me, trying to avoid mistakes and all of that. And I think in doing so, you don't allow yourself to experience life, by yourself, and you don't get to learn through experience, basically, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think only experience teaches you about yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
So for me, everything about me, like my likes, my dislikes, the way I showed up, to people, I think it was all sort of guided by the expectations other people had of me. I think, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it took me, and honestly, and that's why your mind is so smart because your mind has its
Mm.
own personality, right? It
Mm.
might be hidden, it might be a subconscious part of yourself, but it knows that you're not living your true life, right? You're not being authentic, right? And eventually that conflict between the inner self and the outer self starts to expand.
Mm.
And that's what happened with me. So when the last time when we met, that's the phase I was at. Is I started to realize that everything that I pursued in my life, until that point, was me trying to impress, me trying to make someone proud, right? And so when I got to this realization that, okay, you know what, I've missed out on so much in life already. I need to experience something. and that's when I got into karting, not Formula One racing.
Karting,
I
yes,
would like
yes,
to make
yes,
it clear
karting.
to all of our viewers, I'm not a Formula One driver. That is on a different level. But I did karting. I raced cars for a bit, and I played tennis, as Vandy mentioned, and I also did a short, 6-month course on. I mean, it's not short, but 6-month course on music production.
Hmm.
And for a brief while, I was also pursuing different, spiritual modalities that I thought I would also be a facilitator for one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, a lot of different things that I wanted to experience, and I also traveled a bit in that phase. So yeah, it was very interesting. I learned so much about who I was trying to be, right? And honestly, even now, I couldn't answer the question who I am, right? Like or if you ask me my likes or my dislikes, or describe or talk about Divyang, right? I don't know, but what I do know is, uh, or rather, I know that I am more conscious
Hmm.
of myself in those moments when I'm trying to uh, you know impress others, or expectations. I basically live up to someone's expectations. So
Yeah,
I'm more aware of that now, and I know, and once I'm aware of it, I make a different choice. Now
yeah,
that choice isn't guided by, oh, if I were truly being me, would I make that choice? I still don't know, but I know that I'm slowly moving uh, to making a different choice instead of, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where I'm really at. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a process. I wouldn't say that I've figured it out yet, but the biggest breakthrough in my life right now so far has been that I am now aware that I'm not. I am now aware of when I'm not being me, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really, and it doesn't matter because there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever is your, which is your truth, because right
Yeah.
now
Yeah. Yeah.
so just for anybody who is watching, and you want to tell them a little bit more about like paddleboard and paddle and pickleboard,
Pickleball.
pickleball.
Pickleball. Pickleball.
So if this was a invitation for somebody to be like,
Yeah.
okay, what is this about, and what would you tell them? Because this is also
Yeah.
something that it's like you're finding it's going with your energy, and you've been doing this for a while. So what would you say to
Yeah.
those
Yeah. Absolutely.
people watching that?
So paddle and pickleball are basically racket sports, and they are considered two of the world's fastest growing sports. They are growing exponentially worldwide. Every second hour of the day, you're seeing at least 2 or 3 clubs open up somewhere in this country alone. So imagine how many more are opening around the world, right?
Oh,
So if you have to, why is that, right? So if you have to answer that question, I like to say that paddle and pickleball are the two addictions that your doctor would approve of. because it's Yeah, because it's getting you active, and when you start playing, you're hooked, right from the get-go. And especially for people who've never had any experience with other sports, or even racket sports for that matter, right? Paddle and pickleball are they're quite easy to learn, number one, and they're low impact sports, meaning that they're not as impactful on your body as maybe a tennis or a badminton might be. So because of its low impact nature, because of its ease of learning, and also the community aspect of it, because really paddle and pickleball businesses are focused on building communities. So all of that put together, it's been growing exponentially. Everyone wants in on paddle and pickle action. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't checked out paddle and pickle, do check it out on YouTube or something, and find the nearest court near you, and at least give it a shot one time. I'm sure you'll love either of the sports. Yeah.
or
And for anyone who's never played any sport, I would suggest pickleball first,
yeah.
but you'll always have to try paddle at some point, because paddle is probably of the two the more addictive sport from general feedback. It's not my bias,
Mm.
uh, but yeah,
For sure, I will
yeah,
try this because after a
yeah,
certain age, like also for women, after a certain age, you are looking for low impact workouts or low impact things where you are active. For example, I found walking a lot worked for me versus, like high impact, gym workout. And even if
Yeah.
I do would like to go to the gym, I would look for a low impact workout. So I think after a certain point, that's what you go with your
Yeah.
body, right?
Exactly. And coming back to our discussion, there's a parallel that we can draw here. I occasionally teach paddle, right? And
Mm,
one of my students a long time ago, she was a lady who'd never played any sport at all, like
mm,
no sport whatsoever. And she was someone who was very shy and someone who was very nervous. So
mm.
even during class, if she made a mistake, she would probably, yeah, she would get a little upset and probably feel bad about herself and all that. And if we were playing a match with others, if she missed, then she would feel guilty for for missing, because paddle is a double sport, so her partner missed out on winning a point or whatever. But as I did more lessons for her, and as we progressed, I started to figure out that she was trying to navigate her own sorry, navigate through the, what am I saying? Like,
Yeah,
you get what I mean, right? Basically
yeah.
trying to find her own way to
Oh,
learn the sport, basically.
oh,
And eventually started to realize that she was strategizing in ways no one else was. So she started to figure out, oh, okay, if I do that and if I do that, this happens, and it just started to come automatically. And she started to figure it out herself, and basically it became a creative expression, right? So
wow.
now she, from being the most shy, timid, and guilty feeling, guilt-ridden player, she became a very confident, tactical master on the court. So that's something that, sports like these, because they're so easy to learn, right? The more you play, you start to figure things out yourself. You have more, or you can basically trial and error a lot more, because it's the learning curve is so gentle, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I mean, you just try different things every time you're on court, and you learn something, and you realize, oh wow, that could be my strength. And I think sports, in a way, can be an outlet for creative expression that way. And then you start to figure things out. Like, now she knows that she can find a way out of tough situations or whatever, and navigate her way through life. Yeah, so that's something interesting parallel that we can draw.
Yeah, that's see,
Yeah,
that's the whole point. Like, anything, any action you take,
yeah,
be it a sport, be it like a workshop or something, any, just take action. Like, she was so shy, but she tried this out, and then she found herself. And
yeah,
that's the most important, that you find something that is more
yeah,
to your spirit, like to yourself.
exactly. Yeah,
And sometimes many people, like you said, I didn't even know myself. I was just trying to be like this, and I had, I needed to be like that for somebody. And then you
yeah,
forget in that, like, who are you? And then, yeah, and when you kind of find your voice, like, you find your voice in what you
yeah,
enjoy, you find your own voice, because look at your
exactly.
voice.
Yeah,
Young, if I may say so.
exactly. Yeah,
Your voice is so
yeah.
attractive. Like
Oh, you're talking my. Oh, okay.
now, like even now, like, well,
Mm.
my just observation is like your voice sounds so attractive.
Oh
The
wow, really?
depth
That
of your
wasn't the
voice
case
sounds.
before, huh? So there's a big change from then
No,
and now. Yeah,
the thing is, earlier I hardly heard your voice.
yeah. I never spoke enough. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's like, if you feel like it's also to do with something that you're passionate about. So what do you think about that?
Mm. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yes, of course. It's got to do with pursuing what I want to pursue, right? What I want to do in life, basically. It's now, today, what I'm doing is not being guided by someone else's expectations of me, right? And that's exactly why I'm more confident of what I do. Because for me, with what I do, there's no attachment to outcomes, right? For me, it's just, yeah, I'm just loving it. Really. I don't care how big we make it as a business, or even as a player, how big I make it. Doesn't matter. For me, I'm just enjoying playing the sport, right? And yeah, that's something very interesting that I also learned recently. Is, for me, I think most athletes get into a sport because they're quite competitive, right? And I never understood this whole I mean, look, I don't know, but from my perspective, I never understood what winning brings to the table. Like, I never understood what's the value in winning at all, right? And obviously one of the things is you feel good about yourself, and other people might respect you. You might win some trophies, people will take photographs of you and then post it on social media. And then most importantly, people will be intimidated by you for whatever reason. But I mean, it's not good enough, right? That's again living up to, trying to basically set expectations outside and trying to live up to them, right? But and I was there for the longest time. I wanted to win. I wanted to achieve big, because I thought that's what will give me
Mm.
meaning in life, and that's what will give me the validation that we all try to seek, subconsciously.
Yeah.
And and in doing so, as it got worse, I got deep into it. I got deep into trying to be validated, trying to win, trying to be something, and my game started to stagnate. I lost my game and all of that.
Mm.
And then quite recently I realized that really your intention matters. Why are you doing what you are doing, right? Are you doing it for something outside of you, or are you doing it something are you doing it for internal gratification, basically, right? And so when I took that approach, and now when I play a paddle or a tennis game or a pickleball game, even if things are not going well, I genuinely don't give a shit. Like, I genuinely, because for me, I know I'm just enjoying hitting the balls. That's it. For me, I'm not attached to the outcomes anymore. So that's the shift, right? So once I came to the realization of why do I want to win and why do I want to make it big, I started to make a different choice, because I realized, no, it's not a good enough reason, right? Validation from outside is not a good enough reason. Fame and money and all of that is not a good enough reason, right? So that's a massive change that I made, and now I'm starting to see that I'm actually playing my best ever. Like, my game couldn't have been this good, 2 or 3 years ago. It's crazy, and I'm constantly improving, and I'm also aware of it. But I'm not getting carried away, because I know it doesn't matter, right? I'm not trying to improve for something else.
Yeah.
I'm improving. It's a natural byproduct. What matters is I am playing still, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's something big, and I think that's a very interesting insight, for people. Anytime someone feels stuck, right?
Yeah.
Or someone feels like they're going backwards, I think the right question to ask is, what are your motives, or what are your intentions? Why are you doing what you're doing, right? And
You nailed it.
yeah,
What That's really truly, what are your intentions? Are your
yeah,
intentions, as you said, just to intimidate? Is it your intention just to provoke a reaction in another person? And
exactly,
that internal intention, the world around you also shows up. So you find
exactly.
more competitive people, or people who bring out that energy. But when you actually go into, like, oh my god, this is really fun for me, because I can really see you have fun, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am in that space truly, where I genuinely couldn't give a shit about making it big anywhere, because I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But again, there is this other side to it. Is there's this constant lingering thought, right? And we all go through that. Is, okay, I might be good, I might be happy doing it just for myself, but at some point I might have to be good enough for someone, right? Maybe a future spouse or something. So that is something I'm still struggling with, is because if I'm just doing it for me, right, I have nothing to give to someone else, right? So now how do I find that balance? I have no idea. It's confusing, but um
But you know what I do find, and stepping into, like, just I think it's something that everybody fundamentally worries about. Like,
yeah,
am I
yeah,
doing this in a selfish way? Am I doing it?
exactly.
So I think the question is more, I think it's a question you're asking yourself, am I being too selfish? My
Yeah, maybe,
Oh,
yeah.
it's not really selfish, because the more joy you're able to produce on yourself, by yourself, you will attract that kind of a person
Mm-hmm.
who is producing self joy. And that's the
Right.
kind of person you want. Because what are people struggling with in relationships is that the other person makes them happy.
Exactly. It's basically expectations from both sides. Yeah.
Right. So imagine you're finding your own happy. You are going to be an attraction to a person who has their own happy too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I think the more happier you become, you attract that kind of happier person.
I
So
see.
I think you should, like, not should, but just going from the equation, or
fair,
going
fair.
from the
No, no.
game
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you've been playing, I think
yeah.
you play more of that game because you will find that matching energy. Because now, even in your workspace, I think you have found people that match your energy of
Exactly.
happiness.
Yeah.
So I think it will just flow into that area of your life as well. I mean, yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, and that was something that yeah, I was just confused about.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it almost feels like eventually at some point you'll always be sucked back into that reality where you're trying to fulfill someone's expectations, right? So, but
yeah.
yeah, it's how do you find
Yeah.
balance and yeah, it's
That's I think that part about like the self-worth, where like your story about your self-worth, how has it changed over the years?
yeah,
And it's so like it's such an interesting thing to see, like even as you're stepping into this such a huge space that you are, we all have these questions that go through our mind.
yeah,
It's a question that we keep asking ourselves, no, like
yeah.
what do you feel your like these are your doubts, but your self-worth story is it's something that would be a inspiration to others, no?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for sure, it's I'm definitely starting to figure myself out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how do you feel like since that time we met,
Matt.
how
Yeah,
was your
2 years ago.
self-worth at that point and how do you feel your self-worth is now? And
Oh yeah, that's a whole different story. Yeah, for sure. So, um, I mean, 2 years ago, the last time we met, obviously I was doing all of these different things, right? Experiences and stuff. But then, honestly, I was still doing these experiences. I started to. It had a negative impact on me as well. They're both sides. The negative part of it was that I realized that I'm probably not. I haven't had enough experiences and I haven't done enough things or I haven't learned enough. And I was like, oh, am I actually going to be good enough? Or is it too late for me to be smart? And is it too late for me to actually be a self-made man or whatever?
mm,
And yeah, I was like, fuck, I should have probably uh, just listened to everyone, gone to school and just shut my mouth and done the right things as usual. But then obviously, I would have been unhappy with the rest. I might as well have, gone into some really crazy addictions, right?
yeah,
But
because that's always there as a
yeah,
choice, like either you give up or you move on, you know.
exactly. Yeah,
It's like these thoughts that just are like
mm,
white noise.
exactly. Yeah, but then yeah, the more I started to actively choose to do what I want to do, I think I started to realize that when I'm genuinely doing something from a place of passion rather than I have to do this and I have to get it done quickly. So okay, I'll create these short term goals and long term financial goals or blah 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 whatever. It doesn't work, right? But then when you do something passionately, you actually start to realize that you can actually do it. Like and you also not only do you realize you can do it,
Mm.
you realize that it also doesn't matter. So it's like both things, it's like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter, but I know I can do it and I'm enjoying doing it and I'll keep doing it. And I know it doesn't matter. And I also know that I can do something good, like something big. Yeah.
Yeah, so like what do
And,
you
and that's where I've come now. So that's where I am. And for the first time in my life,
yeah
I can actually feel. So the one thing that I can answer about myself is I know I can find a way out. Like the way I did, finding my way out of this emotional and mental rut that I was in the last 2 or 3 years.
yeah yeah
I found my way out, and I found I did. I found my way out. I realized that I have to do it,
yeah
out of passion and
and
yeah,
that itself is such a like I find it such an inspiring thing because if you have it's kind of you learn to count on yourself, and
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the day you really count on yourself, and
yeah.
I think that is a confidence when you can do these little steps and then you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can actually get myself out, and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like the
And
unbeatable
you have
thing.
that moment when you actually say that, it's like, oh, I can actually get myself out. Like really, like it
Yeah,
really does come that way. It feels like that. Yeah.
yeah, because most of the time what do you get? You get naysayers, right? They're like, like it's been like that for so many years. Are you sure? Are you sure? So
Yeah,
you're always given that little bit of
people
a
give up
doubt.
easily.
And point
Even
is to
yeah,
not
if
give
you
in.
want to master anything, even if it's something external and it's something difficult, you've got to figure something out within yourself, right? Because probably your approach or maybe why you are doing it, your intention. Or honestly, it all comes back to your intentions, really. Like, why are you doing what you are doing, right? And if it's not working out, you should ask yourself, is it worth continuing to do that, or move on to something else? And
Yeah. It looks
yeah,
like with the intentions, I think you cracked the code. I feel like
yes, yeah,
you really cracked the code. So, what do you
exactly.
think for anyone who will be watching this in the future? That what was that got you to that intention cracking more code moment? Can you remember anything like an incident that
Ooh.
happened, or what was it that like? Oh, it's actually the intention with which. Was it a moment or was it like a addition of things?
Okay. Yeah, it's a great question actually. So Wendy, you've known me for a while, right? And I may be a lot of things, but then I think you and I can both agree that I've always tried to be a good guy, right? So
Not a good guy.
when yeah,
Amazing guy.
so in my interactions with other people, right? Say friends or whatever, and when I was in that really difficult phase of my life, it was hard for me to be happy for other people, right? And then you start to obviously internal envy and all of that, and then if something doesn't work out for them, yeah, you know how it goes. I don't have to say that. But then, and that's actually where it hit me, because I don't know. I knew, because I knew I wanted to be a good guy, and being a good guy does not mean being happy for someone else's failure or blah blah blah, right? And then that's when it hit me that my intentions, even though I thought that I'm having the right intentions and trying to be a good guy, that's when I thought, if you're truly being good, it's not what you also do and say to someone, but what you also think. Now, I might be very kind to you and say, "Oh, Wendy, I'm going to be there for you, and I'm so sorry it didn't work out." Blah blah blah. But then, am I embodying the same thing internally? And only I know the answer to that. I can cheat you. I can tell you. I can project myself as this good guy, very empathetic, and all of that. But I'm cheating myself if I don't accept that internally. It's not who I am, and that's when it hit me. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. Basically, that's something that I've always tried to avoid.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's when it hit me. Oh wow, intention is such a big thing. And then I asked myself, for everything that I do, is like, why? What are your intentions
Mm.
toward this, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's and like, for example, briefly, when I wanted to do the spiritual modality, facilitation thingy, I was like, why am I doing this, right? He's like, and I got the answer that so that I can feel better about myself, as compared to someone else. Yeah, and I could listen to their problems and all that, and then come across as a fully sorted guy in life, with all of the life advice and all of that. And that's not who I wanted to be, right? That was the intention behind that. But am I truly wanting to help that person? That's
Yeah.
a whole different question. So yeah,
Wow. Wow,
yeah,
that is really deep, and
yeah,
that's really a very
yeah,
heart open share, because
yeah, yeah.
it's really looking behind the curtain there,
Exactly.
because
Because I genuinely don't want to be a hypocrite. Like, I don't want to do something that I'm not truly embodying, right?
yeah,
And that's this is for me. It's not even for someone else.
yeah, yeah,
So, and that's what guides me. It's like, yeah, a lot of times. Let me give another blunt example, right? It's like, okay, there was a time when basically I was training. I was a tennis player, right? And I was in the academy, and there's this girl who liked me and all of that. And then my friend was suggesting that I ask her out, but then he wanted to make some changes in the way that I approached, in the way that I dressed up, and everything, and the way that I spoke,
yeah,
and the confident, brash guy who is sometimes rude and all of that. That's not me. And if you don't find that attractive,
yeah,
but I'm not going to change myself just to look good, right? And if I have to attract someone, I'm not going to. Yeah, it's a common thing, right? A lot of my friends tell me, "Oh, you have to be a little more, brash and that kind of a guy, but that's not who I am. And yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
expensive, yeah, I can't do that. So that's probably another example. As where it hit me is, do I want to cheat this person? Do I want to tell this person that I am this person, but actually I'm not? And then get her to like me. It doesn't work that way. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you basically want the person to see you as you are, and if they're not okay with
I
that,
think more than that, more than wanting someone to see me, I don't want to cheat someone basically, because I'm still trying to be a good guy. So
yeah,
leave this whole conversation over there, but
yeah,
I'm still trying to be a good guy because I know that I I I don't have to do something flashy.
yeah.
Uh, that is not me, right? If I am doing something flashy, if that is me, then it's fine. But then I'm not gonna try and there's no different templates that I should follow. For this person, you show up this way. For that person, you show up that way. That doesn't work that way. So
Really, I love this, like different templates for different people. That's so cool because
doesn't
that's
work.
what people like fall
Yeah.
into. Like, even because this conversation is also about the inside and your outside, it's so interesting that even our conversation has gone naturally to that direction because
Yeah.
you're talking about like being authentic on the inside, and
Exactly.
then when you have an invitation from your friends or a suggestion from your friends, like you should look inauthentic from the outside, you're like,
Exactly.
dude, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I keep getting this constant feedback is like, no one's gonna like you because you're not an asshole. In today's world, everyone goes for the asshole because apparently they are attractive. I keep getting that a lot, so I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I can't.
Yeah. Well, see, if
Mm,
like really, if you could say, I feel like you are just saying something out loud that most people are afraid to say,
yeah,
or they because they're not there yet.
yeah, fair.
But that is
I'm
true.
gonna get a lot of I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this. Yeah,
No,
but
but if you okay, if genuinely, if you
yeah.
could let your style speak, right? Um, what would you say that it's kind of saying now? If your style could speak, what would you say?
If my style could speak. Mm, and I remember, when we did our conscious makeover, we tried a different hair color for me as well. That was the first time I colored my hair, and it was probably the first time I made a bold move like that. Right? I mean, it is honestly like for people like me, who've always tried to, be a little less, loud. That was a big move, and then I did get a lot of attention for that, and initially it was throwing me out, but I was like, whoa, okay, people are starting to notice me as someone who's bold, right?
Mm.
And I actually garnered some respect from people I never thought I would, because they saw this guy, who's made a very bold move with his hair, even the dress, the clothes that we bought, the colorful, the bright colors. But generally, I'm a black t-shirt guy. Even now, I'm in a black shirt. Although I've learned recently that black suits me, huh? So yeah,
Do
but
you? Do
yeah,
you?
but I'd never tried those bright colored shirts and trousers and all that, and just making that change, I could see the way people had changed their approach to me, right? The way they were talking to me, even within my friend circle and my coaches as well. Like, it was just so different, and
Yeah.
it was a very nice and interesting, insightful experience. In fact, I have that facet as well, right? Where I can be that, bold, brash, loud guy, with the bright colors and all that. But then, yeah, I also have this side. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It's basically so. I think, well, to answer your question, I would say that and I often notice that, honestly, as a person, I like to explore personalities because I'm still new at this. I don't know who I am still, right? So I do make different choices, and I think my style starts to reflect that automatically, like subconsciously. I don't even think about it. So it's
Yeah.
probably that maybe my style gives away who I am being at that moment.
Yeah.
I think that could be my answer probably.
Oh, that's really cool. That's a
Yeah.
very interesting.
Because I don't, yeah, I like to explore even personalities, because you don't want to be the same guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to be a good guy every single time, but there are different aspects to you, right? There's so many different things, and yeah, I like to explore who I can be as well. If it generally comes from inside, it's like, okay, can I explore this personality? Then I might as well,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that for a bit, and
Yeah.
then yeah, it's probably, yeah, that's, I don't want to do something that I'm not truly
Yeah.
embodying or being, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. Yeah, I don't want to cheat myself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think kindness might be a byproduct of that, maybe. I don't know.
Wow, that's an amazing byproduct. So I think it like we did like this full
Mm,
circle of
yeah,
intention. So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
intention of I'll tell you an experience of one lady we did in the corporate conscious makeover, just as that. And she came into the conversation saying, "Oh, my workplace is really aggressive and it's like male dominated." But
Yeah,
what she couldn't see that she was also extremely aggressive herself, and it's like it's a byproduct, no?
yeah,
So what
yeah.
she used to do is she used to wear, though was she was just wearing something that that kind of visually suppressed who she was. So people were able to perceive this underlying aggression from her, and that's what she actually wanted.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so it was crazy,
yeah.
and in fact, we were so surprised because I did it with my German business partner as well. So we were really having this conversation that your inside intention of, like, hers was to intimidate, and
Mm-hmm.
she brought it out in how she was, wearing, and people were actually feeling it, and they were acting in aggressive, but she was taking it as people are being aggressive toward me, but
Mm-hmm.
that was the intention that she had.
Ah,
So, and you are like the good version of that.
yeah, but that's where you realize that it's really, honestly, there's no judging anyone. It's like, yeah, sometimes people just want to be that, and it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a good person every time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, each person is different, right? So, and yeah, I mean, that's what, the whole concept of non-duality, right? You don't get sucked into, just being the good guy and then, judging all of the bad stuff. It doesn't work. You have to integrate both of them, and I'm quite sure, and I do have those moments where I genuinely feel
yeah,
like I want to do things for selfish reasons, and maybe, that kind of stuff, and it may not necessarily always be, for the uh, it may be probably at the expense of someone else, and not to a big extent. But again, like I said, I don't want to cheat myself, right? And I know that I don't want to hurt someone, and as long as I'm not hurting someone,
yeah,
I don't give a shit about their feelings.
yeah. Yeah, I get it.
It's like, that's, I mean, they'll be upset for 2 minutes and then they'll move on. That's basically it. That's it. It's like, I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to do something too extreme where someone has had a, traumatic experience, out of me. So that's what I try to avoid.
That's really nice.
Mm.
Did
I mean, I don't know. I'm still lost. I'm still confused, but yeah, it's kind of what I'm trying. That's what I figured out. Like, so far, it's not completely coherent, but yeah, it's something along those lines. Yeah,
well, that's the reality, right? We
yeah,
we keep, so one sign that things don't look the same always is
yeah,
because you're moving. Because if we, even in a train, if you go from one station to another station, or one,
yeah,
uh, you know, you stop at different stop, every place looks different, and then you're like, you have to find yourself again. You're like, okay, where do I check out? Where does the, even airports, each airport is a different airport, and then you have to find the same things again.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
is the departure, where is the taxi? So even
yeah.
life is a little bit like that.
Yeah, it's a bit messy at times. Yeah, I mean, it's not always easy to embody this, right? It's like, yeah, sometimes you inadvertently do something, and yeah, it's not always. There will be moments where I end up cheating myself. It's not always easy to be conscious, right? Because that's the kind of world we live in. There's so much being thrown at you. So
Yeah,
sometimes you're just sort of out of place, and then you make a choice without being conscious, right? So it's quite, yeah.
I think it's
But
just human. It's just
Yeah. And so the
human.
challenge is basically in being more conscious, right? The more conscious you are, the more authentic choices you make.
That's true. I like
Yeah.
that. I really like that. Have you seen anyone? I know you gave me that example of the really shy lady. But have you ever seen anybody, um, like for yourself? um, they kind of find themselves on the paddle or the pickleball or any sport, even tennis or anything. Have you seen someone kind of find themselves and they completely change uh, who they look like? But then when they change, they actually like caterpillar is a caterpillar, but then when it changes into a butterfly. But it is still the true person that have you seen anyone in like
A lot of times. You'll see this very often in sports,
and
but those people are
how
not conscious of it. They're
and
not conscious that
how
they're
do
doing it.
they look like? I sometimes I don't even know
You
the word.
can't take your eyes off them. You can't take your eyes off them. Yeah, I completely understand what you're asking me. There are many of them in the sporting field alone. You'll see a lot of people when they're on court or on the football field or whatever. They are basically being their authentic selves. Although many of them, I have to say, may not be aware of it. They may not be conscious that they're two different people. They're like, oh, when I'm playing, it's I'm just being focused on my thing. But then you're not just being focused, you're actually being yourself. You're being something that you weren't being outside of your field, right? You'll see this a lot, and those are the kind of people that you actually can't take your eyes off of. Like, yeah, I think I can say that about myself as well. Any like when I'm playing in Kochi, right, with my students or whatever, I can see that a lot of people are fascinated by my game, right? That also has to do with me just being me on the court, right? Because anyone can be a good player, but then I think there's something when you're truly being you, I think it just catches your eye, it's yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you'll catch everybody's eyes because I just by your style and as you said, you're the happiest when you have blonde hair, right?
Yeah.
it- like we don't even realize that we're looking at you, but we are looking at you because you're there. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like that, and I don't know how. Yeah, it's kind of it's very interesting. Like people who are being themselves,
Yeah, yeah.
or embodying their true selves, you just can't take your eyes off of them, and you don't realize that you are looking at them, but you are.
Wow, I love the way
Mm.
you said it because being seen is one of the most and as you said, like people don't know that they're looking and you don't know that people are looking at you, but then you feel the shift of the
Yeah,
um, energy
exactly,
pouring towards you. And
exactly.
sometimes it's then you're like, oh yeah, things are looking up, but you don't actually know. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of tangible intangible thing, and I think that's the invitation, like I would
yeah,
want people to explore that the more your inside light is switched down, yeah, that you are seen. And when you are seen, like you're like the way you talk changes, like yeah,
mm,
the way you talk changes, the way people respond and react to you change, and
yeah,
it's so
exactly.
subtle, but
Yeah.
only comes from your at least going towards at least looking for something that um, brings you closer to you. That's crazy. It
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, correct. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it
yeah.
is. It's true. Yeah, it's
Even
very interesting.
even in one of the people, I keep talking about her, and I've kept talking about her, and I think it's high time I invite her also. One of the ladies, she did the conscious makeover. She came into the to the workshop saying that I have to learn how to. She's really beautiful by herself, the whatever way she was, and I have to learn how to put makeup because my husband is also saying I should put makeup and things like that. So she came,
Mm.
she learned, she looked gorgeous and everything, and I caught up with her like sometime later, and she's like, Vandy. actually I feel good with who I am. Whether I, and something I wasn't before, that, earlier I was putting myself down for not choosing to put makeup on. But I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually good with that choice.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and the more I am doing that, that works for me. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and if you could leave uh, people just with some last thoughts, what would you like people to just take away?
Just that, ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? It's all about the intention. Honestly, it all comes back to that, and that's been the theme of our discussion today, right? Intention. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are your motives behind it? Uh, yeah, really that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
that,
yeah. Mm, I think it's as simple as that, really. Yeah.
I think that was like your glass ceiling. You just not
Yeah,
even a
yeah,
glass ceiling.
it's as simple as that. It's like, why are you doing what you're doing? Ask yourself every single day,
Yeah,
uh, and what is the intention behind it? Yeah,
yeah,
it's that simple. There's nothing much that
yeah,
can be said. It's not about I can't I can give you this entire pep talk about, oh, believe in yourself, be confident in who you are, work hard, wake up at 4:30 a.m. blah, 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 whatever. You heard enough of that. Now just ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Figure out your intentions in life for everything. In your interactions with other people, your career goals, your even the food you eat. Maybe, I don't know. Just go, yeah. Take it to all sorts of extremes, and see what you learn about yourself and your intentions. Yeah,
yeah. Exactly. It is also what you eat, because
yeah,
it kind of is also, because that's the energy that you're putting in. So what are you putting in? And I think that's like also, like, I'm thinking about it. It's such a good conversation. What are
yeah,
you putting into yourself?
yeah.
That is also important, to find your balance. And like, but that's a whole different conversation. Maybe we'll talk about it. I don't know.
So the next episode, yeah, Divyang Kumar, Inside Out Talk 2.0.
Wow, we're already creating that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Oh, that's freaking
Amazing.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vanny. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me. I have to say it out loud. The conscious makeover that you did was very insightful. And I mean, I couldn't tell you back then, but today I understand the value of it. It's made a huge difference in the way that I, show up. And uh, yeah, you've asked questions that I had no answer to back then. And today I'm starting to figure it out. So thank you so much for being you and doing what you are doing. And yeah,
Thank you.
hoping to do this more often.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Amazing.
It's, yeah, it's really nice, because yeah, my intention was to just let people know that they they can just choose to be beautiful and happy.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
It's
and the
as simple
more
as that.
happy
Yeah,
you are, the more beautiful
exactly.
you look, and you don't have to have so much of um,
Yeah,
cosmetic surgery or invasive procedures,
yeah.
or wear something that's forcibly,
Post on you. Yeah,
or like peer pressure or anything.
exactly.
The more, or on the other side, you don't have to just wear beige. You know,
Yeah,
why not?
absolutely.
You don't have to wash yourself out. You can color yourself in.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Amazing.
Thanks, Divyang. This is like, anyway. I'll stop recording. Thank you so much, yeah.
Thank you so much. See you guys. See you.
See you.